Ladies and gentlemen,
Hey, what's up, everybody? It is Thursday, 7 p.m. This is the Triple Threat Vet Podcast. We're here with a portion of the crew. We don't have everybody tonight, me, Al, and we have a guest. But first, I'd like to say thank you to our guest from last Tuesday. Javon Mosby came on, dropped some knowledge about not only the Navy and his story through the Navy, but also his story as an educator. We really appreciate that. It was a lot of fun to talk to him the whole time, and that show went like 2 hours and 20 minutes, so we really got into it. Tonight, we have a guest from my hometown, Jacksonville, Florida, named Courtney Ruffin. He's a guy I've kept in touch with since I was in high school. I don't only just call him about, sports stuff and stuff we used to talk about back in the day, but, talk to him about real life issues. So it's always good to have somebody in your past that you can talk to, somebody you trust. And not only is he a good friend, but he's also an insurance broker, and he's going to talk to us about financial literacy since it is Financial Literacy Month tonight. So before we get going, let's what do we got here? T-shirts. I know Matt said he's going to talk about T-shirts, but I'm just going to say that Wax Poetic T-shirt right there in the center, I know it looks the best. Go to sameflagsameoath.com and support the 3 T-shirts for those 3 charities. All 3 are veteran charities. The Matt shirt is for the Texas Veterans Athletic Association. The Ty shirt in the middle there is for Project Zero, and Al Hero's shirt is for Camp Hope PTSD Foundation of America. So go to Same Flag, Same Oath and buy some shirts. I think we're going to bring our guy Al Hero on and see what he's got cooking. What's up, man?
Man, it's good to be here on a Thursday, man. It's been a while since we had a Thursday night episode. I will say this about when it comes to those shirts, though. Let's just be real with it. My shirt is the best. And here's the other part. We're talking about financial literacy. I'm about financial illiterate as they come, right? More money I make, the more money I spend. I can't save $1 to save my. If I had 2 nickels right now, I couldn't rub them together. You know what I'm saying? But I will say this: that shirt is very reasonably priced for anybody balling on a budget like the rest of us in America right now with this crazy shit going on and the gas prices and the damn groceries. And if you ball on a budget, my shirt is cheaper than Ty's shirt and cheaper than Matt's shirt. Now that's a lie. They all cost the same, but go out there and support a good veteran charity. I don't have a whole lot tonight, Ty. You know, I kind of blew my load last night with my rant. I am going to rant. If I was ranting tonight, it'd be a little bit about what's going on with all this craziness with these tariffs and what's going on with this country right now. It doesn't look good, but we can say that for another episode. But I definitely want to get right into it with Courtney. I too am a Duval County kid. Grew up in Jacksonville, Florida on the west side, right off 103rd and Jamie. So I'm excited to talk to Courtney, not only for his financial background and what he brings to the table as far as understanding financial literacy and talking to us about. I got some good questions for him, right, when it comes to budgets and finances. So I want to jump right into it. So without further ado, Ty, let's bring him on.
All right, for sure, man. I wasn't really ready for you. So I was ready for you to go off on something.
I thought about it, but I held it back. I'm gonna save it till Tuesday.
That's all good. I can figure it out.
Save it till Tuesday.
All right, so without further ado, let's bring on Courtney Ruffin. What's up, Courtney?
I'm gonna say my political rant for Tuesday when I'm like, "Fuck this motherfucker." Oh, sorry, I'm gonna save it till then.
Courtney Ruffin, welcome to the show, man. What's going on?
What's going on, Ty? What's going on, Al? Man, I appreciate you gentlemen having me on. Appreciate it a great deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure. I'm excited for sure. I've heard the stories about you. I've heard about you from Ty. So I'm excited to get a chance to get to know a little bit about you today and kind of really chop it up and kind of figure out, talk to you about your journey, where you came from, how you ended up where you're at, and just kind of really get into some details about, wealth, right? Ty said he was going to talk about generational wealth. I'm really excited to hear your your ideas on generational wealth and how do you attain that and how do you achieve that. So I guess before we get started, like we do every show, the floor is yours, Courtney. Kind of introduce yourself. Tell us a little about where you came from, who you are, what makes Courtney Courtney, right? Your name is badass. Your name sounds like you one of the 5 heartbeats, bro. I heard Courtney Ruffin. I was like, oh, we got one of the 4 tops going on. Like, it sounds like you should be a singer, bro. It sounds like you should be a singer.
Yeah, respect. Shout out to David Ruffin of the Temptations, man. So, but yeah, man, I appreciate you guys again, man. And then first and foremost, before I get into myself, I want to say I appreciate your service for both of you. And also Matt, who isn't with us tonight. So definitely appreciate you guys and the sacrifices you made, and appreciate your families as well, because it's a sacrifice from them. So again, like you said, man, I'm Courtney Ruffin, man. I'm from Jacksonville, Florida, by way of Mayport, Florida, Atlantic Beach. Shout out to Atlantic Beach. Shout out to Jax Beach. You know what I mean? Shout out to Neptune Beach and Fletcher High School, man. So
all the beach rats.
All the beach rats, man. So I'm married, man. I've been married 10 years. My beautiful wife, Rachel, I believe she's downstairs watching as she's doing her schoolwork. I've got 5 beautiful children, 4 of which are adults. Believe it or not, I know I don't look like I should have a 29-year-old son, but I do. And I also have a grandson as well, 2 grandboys. So, yeah, man. So I got started young.
Man, look at your shit looks good, bro. My shit's all great. My oldest son's 25. I ain't got no grandbabies yet, but damn. But you know what? Unfortunately, I'm white, bro. We age. We do not age like black folks. We do not age gracefully. We age horribly. Like it's horrible. Like I'm only 26 years old. You know what I'm saying? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So, grew up in Atlantic Beach, man. I played Ty and I met. It's a funny story. I don't know if Ty's ever told this story, man, but
I don't think I've told it.
So Ty and I actually, when we first actually started to have a full awareness of each other, we actually got into a fight, right? So we were on the back of a van headed to, I don't know if we were headed to or coming home from a summer league basketball game. And Ty, I don't know if you remember this or not, man, but we were the only high school in Jacksonville that actually went on the north side to play north side summer league ball.
Oh yeah.
So Al, you from Jacksonville, so you know what the north side is about. All the hood schools, which all the athletes, all the best basketball players, all the best football players pretty much came from the north side. And nobody from any other side. The west side got its tough parts too. The east side, the east side did have Jackson going over. South side had, they had their teams too, but we were the only ones bad enough to go get that smoke on that north side summer league. And as we were on the way to the game, one of our coach's sons, I wasn't paying attention. I believe he tripped or something, and he accidentally hit me as he was tripping. And I kind of shoved him, not just out of a knee-jerk reaction, kind of shoved him to kind of, hey, what's going on? What have you? And Ty, I guess Ty didn't like how I was handling the young fella. And Ty shoved me, right? He shoved me pretty good, right? Hey, that's a kid. He kind of shoved me. And I punched Ty. Ty punched me back. And then, people had to pull us apart. So, but, we didn't really we didn't get any closer or any further apart after that because it was all about basketball. The program that we were a part of, bro, you couldn't BS around when it came down to basketball. We would literally get into fights if you showed up to practice on some BS, right? That's how serious basketball was for us at Fletcher. We would beat each other up if you didn't show up to practice with the intent of winning a championship in practice, right? So we just went back to playing ball. And then it wasn't, I think, until after school and we reconnected on social media and we started to build a relationship and it got as strong as it is now. Go ahead.
Both went to Fletcher together. I've asked him a question. I got a good friend of mine he's like my financial guru, my financial advisor when I ask questions about my 401k and I want to move around. A guy by the name of Gary Walker. He went to Fletcher as well. Not sure if you knew any of the Walkers. All the Walkers that went to Fletcher were probably related to him.
Gary Walker has been on the podcast?
No, he's supposed to come on. He ain't.
Oh, okay. I knew he was scheduled. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
I don't know why that name sounds familiar.
Anyway, I'm name dropping because he's all about some Fletcher. I don't know. He was kind of, he's gonna get mad when I say this. He was kind of a nerd. I don't think he played no sports.
Man, we didn't mess around with nerds.
Nothing wrong with being a nerd these days.
We mess around with
being a nerd these days.
Not anymore. I want my daughter to marry a nerd. I want her to meet a nerd. that don't even like booty. Just like I don't even want to see nothing naked. I want to gag when she's in a bathing suit. Like, I like you.
Man, that's pretty terrible, man. We definitely promote nerddom in my house. Definitely.
You're damn right.
It's funny that it's all good. Like, it's funny that you say that. I mean, I had such a wide group of friends at Fletcher, but I do remember that, like, specifically, like, I remember Anthony Harris checking me for missing school my senior year. Like, hey, this is detrimental to the team. You're missing all this school or skipping. So Aunt Harris, hit me up, and we were talking about it, always shooting free throws. I saw what greatness looked like because
that's
of
the right there, Ty. I don't know if you know that. That's my cousin.
Aunt Harris?
Yeah, we cousins.
Yeah, I mean, DeCosre, everybody. I know everybody's kind of related. I felt like I was related to half the people by the time I left Fletcher. But, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we got to see that, and because of the program that we had, we got to see people go to college. We got to go to those college camps and everything. So I think that was an amazing experience for people in high school, especially at that time. Like, that's why I'll say that our era, 92 to 95, maybe whenever Myron graduated, you guys graduated, that was the best. To me, that was the best.
So check this out, Ty. So I got a good friend of mine, Toby Frazier. He played at Paxson High School, and he played at Paxson. He was starting point guard all the way from his freshman year all the way up to his senior year, and he graduated the year after me. My senior year, we had a opportunity to play on an all-star team that went to France to play in a tournament. It was an international tournament. It was a part of a sister sister city that we had in Jacksonville, exchange student program. And a part of the exchange student program, Fletcher housed some students from France. And our French teacher, I don't know if you remember Mrs. McDermott, but Mrs. McDermott was the one who kind of coordinated the thing. And the whole Fletcher basketball team was supposed to actually go and play in this tournament, but it was against the state rules that we could play an extra game. So we had to form an all-star team full of kids from other schools in order to go. And Toby Frazier was an All-American point guard out of Paxson High School. He ended up playing at multiple junior colleges, played at Georgia Southern, played at JU. And before a car accident, he was actually headed to go overseas to play pro ball before a car accident messed up his wrist. And he told me he actually played on that team. And Coach Roden, our head coach, was the head coach of the France All-Star team. And we were together for probably about 2 to 3 weeks preparing for this tournament. And Toby and I at the time, much like Ty, we weren't close. We knew each other. We had respect for each other, but we actually became friends after school and all of that. And he's actually my youngest son's godfather now. And to this day, he tells me, he was like, man, I've played a lot of basketball, and I have not had an experience like I had when I was playing for Coach Roden in those 2 to 3 weeks that we were getting for France in all my basketball life. And that kind of tells you what kind of basketball program we had and why it was so intense in practice. It's because of that dude, like, and because of the players that came before us too. Shout out to people like James Harper and Tony Dingle and Eric Black, Andre Cooper, Jeremy Hyatt. Those guys kind of set a standard for what high school basketball should look like and how you should prepare and how you should compete.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I feel bad. I'm sitting here listening, hearing y'all talking about basketball. I'm thinking, if only I was taller, bro. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't shoot. I couldn't jump. I was a wrestler. You know what I'm saying? Nobody cares about that shit.
At least you got a chance to be in the basketball gym.
I know. I got to on a mat on the floor with a sweaty dude. That shit ain't cool.
All right. So what was growing up in Jacksonville like in your house? What were academics looked at? Was that something that you really keyed on, or did you have a lot of siblings growing up? What was life in your house like?
Life was different for me as a kid, man. So my mom got married when I was a young fellow to my stepdad. My stepdad was in the military. And we left Jacksonville actually when I was in the 2nd grade. And we moved to Connecticut. And my stepdad was a cool dude. He just passed away recently, God rest his soul. And he he was a stickler for grades and how he would reward us. He would pay us like $10 a B, or just me. My little brother wasn't in school, so I only had one little brother coming up. I had two cousins, who were like siblings to me, who I ended up growing up with later on. But my stepdad would pay $10 for a B, $20 for an A, man. And I was a straight A student all the way through 7th or 8th grade. I think I might have got my first C or B in the 7th grade or something like that. And ended up leaving Connecticut in the 4th grade, moving down to South Carolina. Some family issues. My mom and my stepdad separated. And then I went down, came back to Jacksonville in the 5th grade, went back to Connecticut in the 6th grade, and then came back to Jacksonville in the 7th grade and finished from there through high school. But
was your stepdad on submarines?
Yeah, he was actually an electrician in Groton, Connecticut, on the submarine base in Groton, Connecticut.
Well, when you started naming bases that you were at, I was like, his stepdad, he had to be a sub guy, had to be on a sub. That's a tough life. That's awesome, though.
Yeah, man, we were in New London, and then we moved to Groton.
Yep.
Man, so that was a great experience as a kid, man. Something that I still have an appreciation for, because it took me out of my comfort zone. It took me out of my environment. I had almost no family in Connecticut. My stepfather had family a little further south in Norwalk, Connecticut. But as far as the people that I was comfortable with and that I grew up with, having to walk to school. I know this is going to make me sound like the 65-year-old man from back in the day when there were no buses, but I actually did walk to school in the snow, and I walked a few miles. I actually did that as a Florida boy in Connecticut from 2nd to 4th grade. And that built some character, man. And having to do that by myself, in a new environment, and it just kind of goes to talk about how today's day and age is different from back then. I won't let my 9-year-old walk to the mailbox almost, let alone walking a couple of miles to school in cold weather. So coming back home to Jacksonville, it was the same. I was living with my aunt from 7th grade on to high school. And it was kind of the same stuff, man. It was, grades are most important. She didn't want to have a conversation about much else. It was, as long as your grades are important, as long as you're getting promoted, we ain't gonna have no problems. And that's kind of what it was like, man. She really finished, what my mom started, and raising me and putting values and character inside of me, man, teaching me how to treat people. And most things she taught me was independence, and how to just do things. Her husband, my uncle, who was like a father to me, he passed away when I was like 6 years old. And she's 81, 82 years old to this day. And he passed away 40 years ago. And we coming up in that household, man, she had me doing stuff like making my own bikes and changing out light fixtures and outlets on the wall. And I still remember my first experience, man. I went to change a light switch on the wall. I'm like 12 years old, dude. And of course, I didn't turn the power off before I did it.
Lit your ass up.
Lit me up real good. So that's how I learned. And she didn't even have to tell me. I went and told her what happened. And she kind of just looked at me sideways, and I was like, oh, I was supposed to go in the garage and turn the breaker off, wasn't I? And, that's how I learned how to be handy, was her just giving me tools and saying, this shit here needs to be fixed, go fix it.
Yeah, it's like, I've noticed that, like, even back in the day, he was left-handed. And so whenever you see a left-handed, you see their mechanics. He always seemed to pick up on things. And then something I've noticed about him over the years is like he cares about the small things. So all those little things that you have to lay down in order to be successful at the next level. I mean, he's always talking about it's the little shit, just like the little comment about no, we promote nerds in our house, because he always keeps the important shit important. And that's what I've always liked about him. So grades are important in your house. You get paid $20 each one. You've always been a straight A student. What happens when you start, when you're in high school and you start thinking about what the heck am I going to do as a profession? What kind of pushed you towards that after sports and whatnot?
Yeah. So for me, when I got to high school, man, that's when my grades started to tail off. I started to smell myself a little bit, like black folks say, and you start to kind of feel like you that guy, right? And I went in middle school. I led my team. I led the actual whole division in scoring in middle school. So coming into high school, I'm thinking I'm gonna be the guy until I got in the gym with Andre Cooper and Jeremy Hyatt. And but anyway, I had a pretty good summer league, and I started to I took myself. I was in all advanced classes in middle school. I took myself out of two of them. I kept two. I was supposed to have honors classes. All my core classes were supposed to be honors, and I took myself out of two of the four. I think you had four core classes every year. So I took myself out of two of them. I kept math and I kept English, I think. And then by the time I got to 10th grade, I had all standard classes. And then by the time I got to 11th grade, I was BSing around, and then, barely graduated, barely passed the 11th grade. And then I finally got my stuff back together at my senior year. But coming up, I wanted to be in technology. I wanted to work with computers, do computer programming. I was telling my wife this story not too long ago, but there's a lady, and I'm pretty sure she's passed on now because she was a lot older when I was in second grade. Her name was Miss Lewis. Miss Lewis in Groton, Connecticut, was a Black woman who was legally blind. And she literally was so blind to the fact that where she taught second grade, but she had to do it on computers. Like she had about 5 or 6 computer monitors and computers, and they were in a circle at a table that was a circular table. The computer and the keyboard were on the table, and the monitors were about 2 or 3 feet above the computers, and they all looped around a circle. And she had a chair, and she would literally just kind of go around to each computer, to do different lessons or to communicate with the class, or have us playing games or whatever it was. She had to use computers to teach us. And that actually got me deeply entrenched into computers, wanting to be I wanted to be a computer programmer. But what I did was when I graduated high school, my oldest son, was born in March of my senior year. And I went right into the workforce. I was supposed to go to the Marines, actually. And I had already done everything. I had done the ASVAB and got signed up. Jared actually recruited me. Jared Muse, my cousin, recruited me to go to the Marines. And we were getting ready to go to. You want to jump in, Ty?
I was gonna say, shout out Jared Muse. That's. I mean, like he's literally like a brother from another mother to me too. We spent so much time together, cutting my hair and just waxing poetic. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You're taking me down the lane with all these names, man.
Nah, man. I got a couple more for you, man. So, Jared Muse, he had me going to the Marines because he had gone, and it was a good idea, man. I had one opportunity to go play college basketball. It was a partial scholarship offer from Otoro Junior College out in Colorado, where Marcel Thomas, a good friend of mine, had gone a couple of years prior. And I was going to go out there, but I'm like, man, I don't want to be in Colorado when I got a kid in Florida. So I tried out for FCCJ's basketball team. And back in the day, man, FCCJ, you could put your incoming freshmen, and you may be able to still do it to this day, but the colleges could put their incoming freshmen into AAU tournaments. So I don't know if you remember you did this. The Fab Five, Michigan, actually came to Jacksonville and played in the AAU tournament, right? They actually did that. So it's a lot of good names. I saw Stephon Marbury and a lot of great players just come through Jacksonville playing AAU tournaments. So I play in this tournament. I'm trying out for the team, and I'm thinking I'm having a great practice. I'm having a great run, getting ready for the tournament, having a decent tournament. And I'm playing point guard, and I hadn't played point guard since 9th grade. So I'm having to play point guard because I'm only 6'1", 6'2", going up to the college level.
Only? Did you just say you're only 6'2"? Only?
Well, I'm 6'3" now, but I was only 6'2".
Only?
I was only 6'1" graduating high school. I was only 6'1".
Okay,
but
just checking.
I say that because that was the point guard height. Like the center on FCCJ teams was 6'11". So I couldn't go play the 4 like I was doing, back in high school. So I tried out for that team, and I was having a good tournament, but we had to play a team out of New York. We had to play a team out of New York, man, the Gauchos. And the Gauchos had the number 1 point guard in the country. His last name was Cook. I cannot remember his first name. He went to St. John's. Man, this dude fried me. He was the classic old school New York City point guard with all the handles and all the moves and the slick jump shot. He cooked me, man, and that kind of fried my opportunity at FCCJ. Even though some of the players thought I should have still made the team, but later on, I actually had another offer. Thinking about it, I had an offer from JU too, but it was a contingent offer based on the coach at the time getting the job. He was the interim coach at the time, and he actually ended up not getting the job. Buster Harvey was his name, and Buster didn't get the job, so that offer was no good because the new coach came in, had other intentions. A couple of years later, after I graduated high school, around 1999, 2000, Buster Harvey ended up getting the job at EWC, and he offered me the opportunity to come work out. I went and worked out. He offered me a partial scholarship. By this time, guys, I had 2 kids, so paying rent, got a car note, car insurance, everything. So I'm like, look, Coach Harvey, can't really come play on a partial scholarship. You either got to pay for all the school. I can't do it. And he was like, hey, man, I'm at EWC. We're at NAIA with like 6 or 7 scholarships. You 4 years removed from high school. I can't give you a full ride. I can't afford it. So I ended up getting into coaching. And I'm working in corporate America without going down the rabbit hole. I'm doing customer service in corporate America. So financial services, actually, if we speed it up a little bit, financial services actually didn't come into play until like 2010. I met a gentleman by the name of Sean Drake through Chauncey Scott. I don't know if you remember Chauncey, Ty. He's a year younger than me.
From Reblock?
No, Chauncey went to Fletcher.
Oh, okay.
He's a year younger than me, so you probably was gone by the time he got there. But Chauncey and I kind of, he introduced me to Sean, and I didn't get into financial services in 2010. My mindset wasn't right. I didn't want to take the test. I didn't want to pay the fees. I didn't want to go to the weekly meetings. I didn't want to do anything. I wanted to be like, hey, is there an easy way to make money doing whatever y'all talking about? No? Okay, I'll just work my regular job. So fast forward the tape to 2018. I'm at my middle son's little league basketball practice, football practice, his little league football practice. And one of his teammates' fathers is at the game, and he's sitting there. He's got this green polo on every night at practice, and he's counting checks. I see him counting checks, like he's like looking at checks and making notes, and sometimes he'll have some cash, and I kind of just peep game. I didn't want to get in this business, I wasn't that type of guy. But one day we were leaving practice, walking out at the same time, and I saw him get into a Range Rover. So I'm like, man, listen, next time I see this dude, I just got to ask him what he does because I'm kind of tired of what I do. So I asked him, and he told me he sold life insurance. So I'm like, really? He was like, well, I do that on the side. My main gig is I'm a fireman. So I go to work for 24 hours. The 2 days that I'm off, I sell life insurance. That's what I do. So I ended up getting my license then, coming in there under him. And at the time, he was only selling final expense, which is policies that go up to $50,000, maybe $40,000, and it's enough to pay for a funeral and maybe some bills or whatever it is. But those are the types of policies, and there's a space for that, and I still do that myself. But it wasn't a full-fledged financial services experience, right? It was just kind of covering a certain market. I met a gentleman by the name of Darnell Moat. He's become my brother in real life and in this industry. And he met me one day. I met him one day meeting some other people. And he said to me, he recruited me like most financial services reps are going to do. He was like, hey, man, I hear you do final expense. He was like, man, listen, this might sound funny, but you way too handsome and you way too young to just be selling final expense. He said, what I mean by that is, man, you got a little bit of charisma on you, man. You can kind of walk in and open any door and kind of really make this shake and kind of help different people in different arenas. Like, to be successful as a business owner, you got to have, a lot of times it's just about how you look, how you present yourself, So I ended up getting in with him, man, and he kind of showed me the opportunity. I'm going to go back because this is an important part of the story. I told him no originally because I felt like I was just getting comfortable with final expense. And I was working a job at the time, and that job was a work from home job. So, me being the hustler that I am, I bought myself a portable router. And instead of being at home working that job, I would jump in my truck with that portable router, and I would go around, following these leads and door knocking and doing stuff like that, selling insurance while I was doing my corporate job in the car. Same time, wiggling the mouse to keep the light on. Some of y'all might know how that go, right?
Hey, just so you're aware, they make a thing called a mouse jiggler nowadays.
Yeah. My sister-in-law was just telling me about it the other night.
if we could have got together, Courtney, and came up with that plan, we'd have been millionaires right now, bro. Because I'm telling
rich,
you,
brother.
all it does is move your mouse around, bro. That's all it does. It's funny you mentioned that you started. You didn't want to take the test. So when I first retired from the military, I was approached in the same kind of manner, and the company, I can't remember the name of the company. But they, I was in recruiting. I'm a people person. They were like, man, you would be great at this. Like they did their interviews and were like, in fact, we're going to pay for your school. We're going to pay for this. We're going to pay for that. And they I did all the coursework, and so for y'all that don't know, that shit's not easy. Like that is like learning the insurance game. That shit is tough. And I'll be honest, at that stage in my life, I was like, man, this is too much work. I don't want to do it.
Yeah.
So I ended up not doing it. And, getting to the job I have now. But looking back, I wish I would have applied myself, because I talk to guys that are doing it now, and they're like, man, I love what I do, and they had like the way their company was set up is they gave you a stipend which you paid back once you started making money, but they gave you a stipend to make sure, but it wasn't going to be enough to support my family coming out of the military. Sure. But I'll tell you what, man, my hat's off to you, because I'm telling you what, that test, bro, the course alone, I was like, yeah, for one, it's kind of, it ain't real life. It's the school, it's the book version. So it's boring.
If you would have came into my career at the beginning of my mortgage career, we'd have never not got anything done.
Never, bro. And I tried. So I gave it my best college try, but I just couldn't do it. I couldn't focus now at this stage in my life, I probably could do it. And I would probably do well at it, or do decent at it. But back then, man, I just wasn't in the headspace. Like they gave me all the coursework, and I was like, I'm gonna kill this. I'm gonna treat this like I do everything else. I'm just gonna shoot. I'm gonna shoot from the hip. I'm not gonna take it serious, and it ended up costing me. So I bounced around for a couple of jobs. That's truth. I shot from the hip and wasn't taking it serious, and ended up bouncing around from a couple of jobs before I landed where I'm at now. But yeah, bro, my hat's off to you, because that test is not easy, and that course is no joke. Like you got to really apply yourself.
Yeah, you do, and it's something that and I don't know what test you took or course you took then, man, but the course that's there now, there's one that's really, really good. It's really, really geared around helping you pass the exam. It's really, really good, really repetitive, but the way it's structured, it really does a good job of making sure you're prepared. But what I was doing was I was in working that job, man. I had I really had a situation where the job was really, really challenging, and I had to stop going out on the road so much because my workload was getting a little bit heavier. I was getting a little bit more involved in projects. I was in IT, working as a business systems analyst, so it was important for me to be present. And they assigned me a team in India too, so I had to be up for meetings at 5 o'clock in the morning so I can catch the India team when they were signing off for the day, to make sure that they didn't need anything going into their next workday. On top of me having my own tasks to do, right? So what really happened with that job was there was a gentleman who was doing another whole other role, and it become overwhelming to him. So he quit. And instead of them hiring somebody else to do the job, they gave me his responsibility. And I'm like, so you want me to manage a team on the other side of the world, do my own job, and then incorporate what's going on over here? And I'm like, y'all gonna get what y'all get out of this. I'm not gonna promise y'all that I'm gonna do the most effective job this way. Whatever happens, happens. So long story short, I ended up getting laid off of the job for performance. And it's like, what y'all want me to do? I can't perform in this environment where you've literally given me like 3 different roles to perform. And so when I got fired from that job, I got laid off from that job. with my degree and my experience, I could have kind of really gone anywhere. But I don't know if you guys are spiritual or not. I am. So I went to well, the first thing I did,
Love me some Jesus. Love
yeah,
me some Jesus all
I
day
got,
for sure. That's no lie. That's
yeah,
facts.
I believe it. I believe it, man. And I'm not one of these people who proclaim to hear God's voice all the time, but that day I believe I did, because the first thing that I got in my mind was to go to church, go to our church that we were attending. This is a Monday. So I go to the church. I got laid off at lunchtime too. So it wasn't like it was they getting ready to have a service or something. So I go to the church and I let them know, hey, I just got laid off of my job. I don't even know why I'm really here. I know why I'm here telling y'all this, because God told me to come here and tell y'all this. So I don't know if y'all want to pray for me or whatever it is. So what they did is they signed me up for like to get some free food and to pay my utility bills for me for a month. Right. And didn't need the food, so didn't take the food. But definitely took the money to pay the utility bills, right? And I went home. I had a doctor's appointment that day too, so I picked my wife up because she had to go with me to this doctor's appointment, because there was a potential that they would have to put me to sleep to do a scope for my stomach. And she went with me, and I'm telling her on the way to the appointment that I lost my job. So I'm worried about telling her because I'm thinking she's gonna freak out, and But the first thing she did was ask me, "Was I okay?" First thing she did, like, "How are you? Are you okay?" And I'm like, "I'm fine. I just got fired. I'm fine." I was shocked by the fact that she wasn't freaking out. And later on, we had a conversation about whether or not I could go full time in insurance, or do I need to go back to work. And she was like, "I got you back. Go full time in insurance. Do your thing." And the cool thing about that is that when I first met my wife was she was the type of person. She would say to me, I like a manly man. I want a man that get up and go to work in the morning and come home dirty, right? That's the kind of man I want. I don't know what an entrepreneur is. What is that? You need to go build some roads. That's what my daddy did. He built roads.
Now we got
So,
soft hands, Corey. We soft hands around here, baby. We
I
soft
got
hands.
callus right
We
now.
got
hey,
soft hands. I got
I got
calluses from the gym. That's all I got. I got soft
hey,
hands.
hey, check it out. I got a good friend of mine, man. Back in the day, he used to say you got office fingers.
I do, bro. My son comes home and because I work from home too. My son will come home and he works like he does landscape, and he's an oyster farmer. And that sounds crazy. We live in Florida, down in Pensacola area. So he works for an oyster company, and he'll come home and be stinking, and that's what he's like, "Oh, it's okay, Dad. You got soft hands." I'm like, "Man, you shut your little ass up." But yeah, he's always calling me soft hands because I work from the house and I work from the office.
So yeah, man. So I went full time in insurance, man, in financial services, and honestly, it was about the money at first. It was about the money and about the freedom of being able to do what I want, and being able to make as no not have a cap on how much money I'd earn. And it wasn't until I actually start getting further and further entrenched in stuff like life insurance, business succession planning, estate planning, retirement planning, debt elimination. It wasn't until I got into that stuff that I realized this was my calling. And how I realized that is I started looking at my own life's journey, on my own life story. Both of my grandfathers died before I was born. One died at 33. He was murdered. The other one died at 46. He drank himself to death. He eroded his liver. My uncle, who was one of my mom's older brothers, he was like a father to me. This is the one I was mentioning earlier. My aunt who raised me, she's my aunt by marriage. Her husband, my uncle, passed away when he was 40. I was 6. All of them were entrepreneurs. My father's father, who got murdered at 33, was a boxer. My mother's father owned his own seafood market in seafood dock down in Mayport, Florida, where fishermen would go out and catch fish, shrimp, all kind of seafood, and bring it in and dock it at his dock and sell it to him. And then he would turn around and sell it to grocery stores and restaurants. Made a killing, right? My uncle, who passed away, he had his own shrimp boat. right? So he would dock at my uncle's spot or my grandfather's spot, or dock at other docks, sell the seafood, and he had his own seafood market. So he would take a portion of his seafood and put it in his own seafood market and then sell it at retail price, right? Making a killing, eating in the 80s, eating. All of them gentlemen died while they were running this business. No life insurance, no business plan, no retirement plan, no trust, none of the stuff that I mentioned to you earlier. And I started realizing that I'm in this because I'm supposed to help other people avoid this situation. That's why I'm here. That's why God put me. That's why this came back to me twice.
Yeah.
That's why when I asked my wife, who normally would probably say, because I didn't tell this part, we actually had a plan for me to leave my job and go full-time insurance once we saved her annual salary in the bank. That was our plan. Well, when I lost my job, we didn't have that money. So I knew it was God working through her to say, you need to go full-time right now, not when y'all plan to, because I said so. That's why you got fired from your job.
Yeah.
And I've started to tie all those things together, and I'm supposed to be doing what I'm doing to honor my grandfathers and honor my uncle.
So you talk, it's you mentioned that. I the one regret I have, so I served 22 years in the military, and the only regret I think I have the whole time I was in the service is I didn't do a thrift savings plan. And I don't know why I didn't. I wanted to hold on to my little $100 a month or whatever I was going to put into it. And I didn't do a thrift savings plan. And looking back, if I would have had that thrift savings plan, I would have had that. Yeah, I would have had that wealth for my family down the road. Now, I mean, now I'm building a nice 401k. Is that when you speak to generational wealth, is that what you're speaking to? Like the estate planning side of it, looking at the future, looking at, what I'm going to leave for my family and my kids. Is that part of that wealth structure?
It's a part of it. And a lot of people, when they hear generational wealth, the only thing that they hear is what somebody is going to get when they're dead. Right. And that's not what generational wealth really is. Generational wealth is really meant for you to enjoy, right, as well, and also pass down to the people that come after you, right? And we have too many people with the mindset of, well, nobody's going to get rich off of what I do. You're going to work just as hard as I did. Well, that's okay. And you can have that principle. But you can also make it a little bit easier for them to work as hard as you did. Right. So hard work doesn't have to be parallel to struggle.
Right.
Doesn't have to be. Like, we can set our kids up to go to college for free.
Right.
But they're still going to have to work hard in college, and whatever degree they get and job they go to, there's no money you can give them that's going to make them work hard. Right.
Yeah, I'm doing so, like, for me personally, like I'm doing things that I wish my family would have done for me. Right. And I don't care about them leaving me with a bunch of money when they left, but just the financial literacy part of it, the knowing what I know now, right? Like, I'm doing things like my daughter, like, and I didn't do it for my sons because fuck them. I like my daughter way better. No, I'm just kidding. But my daughter's 10, right? And I've been putting money aside for her every single month for the last 5 years. And I'm going to continue to do so until she graduates from high school. And then we have some money for her to go to college on or whatever. Me and my family finally, like, I'm 44 years old, bro. I ain't no young buck, right? I finally went and did estate planning and got a will. And, I got a secondary life insurance policy on top of what the military gives me, just so that way I have, but it's taken me 40 years, right? It's taken me most of my life to figure this out. What advice would you give to the young kids right there? Because there's kids out there that like my kids, my sons. I don't know how you got older kids. My oldest son's 25 years old, and he looks at he's not looking at tomorrow, in my opinion. He's looking at what's today. I can make this money today, and I could buy this truck with this $1,800 car payment today, and I could look good for everybody else. Even though I've told him, hey man, I couldn't tell you I don't know. I'll be honest. I know Ty had a truck at one point in time, but I don't know what he drives. You know why? Because I don't give a damn. What he drives has no bearing on do I like him better or do I not like him at all, right? It has no bearing on it. And I wish my sons would see that and say, hey, stop looking at right now, right today. That dollar today doesn't mean shit. That turn that dollar that you have today into $5 tomorrow and then $10 a month from now.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to this younger generation who looks at finances as a means to the end in the moment?
So one of the things that I like to do, I've done over time with my children, is I still do it. So I've got 4 adult children in their 20s, and I got a 9-year-old, right? So with all of them, I've done something with them I call time machine. So what I do with time machine is I tell them, I'll give an age range, right? Let's say I've done it recently with my 9-year-old. So we'll use my 9-year-old, and I'm training him up on basketball. And I would say he would be doing something, he would be making some mistakes, or he wouldn't be taking the preparation very seriously, or what have you. And I would say to him, his name's Major. I would say, Major, your high school version of yourself is counting on you. You're 9 years old. What you do right now is going to affect the high school version of you. So when you think about how you're preparing today, do you think the high school version of yourself will be proud of you? And that's what I would say to the generation, right? Now, when you start talking about people buying nice cars or buying nice things in the day, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not one of these financial experts that's going to tell you to live like a bum.
Right.
That's not how I move. I'm not going to tell you need to save this, buy this cheap car, buy things. I'm not going to tell you that. What I'm going to tell you is that put yourself in a position to where you can afford it. We've heard Jay-Z say these things 2 or 3 different times. So when you spend if your car payment is $500 a month, you've got $1,000 to $1,500 a month that you actually could have spent on a car. If you can do that, buy whatever you want. Thinking about yourself in a time machine, you like this kind of car now. What kind of car are you going to like when you're 50? Are you going to be able to afford that car when you're 50?
Right.
The way you're going about things now, the answer is no. And I'm going to tell you why. There's 3 enemies to our wealth: preservation and accumulation. There's 3 enemies. One is sickness and death, which happened to my grandfathers and my uncle. On their way to building wealth, they died. One of them got sick first, and then he died. So that's enemy number 1, sickness and death. Enemy number 2, taxes. So as long as we go forward in life, we're going to have to pay taxes in some capacity, but we need to learn the strategies that are present for us that can allow us to pay as little taxes as possible. And there's certain things in certain places you can put your money that will minimize or mitigate the amount of taxes that you have to pay for that particular structure, right? The third enemy, and probably the biggest one of them all, is inflation. We're experiencing it right now in real life. We can get in a time machine and go back to January, before administration changed. And it doesn't matter what side of the aisle you're on. It doesn't matter who you voted for, who you didn't vote for, whatever it is, because we can get back into a further time machine and go back to when all of us were 5 or 6 years old. And if I gave Al $1 and I gave Ty $1 and I told them to go to the corner store, they're going to come back with a grocery bag full of stuff.
Yes, sir.
If you do that right now, then people would call the police on you.
Right. Right.
If you went to the corner store and tried to spend $1 on anything, they're going to say, hey, man, get out, or we calling the police. Mm-hmm. Right. So that's what, over the course of time, we've had Republicans, Democrats, whoever in office, and inflation has still been there.
Well, that's like most companies, people think they got a raise. Like, oh, I got a 3% raise. You really didn't get a raise. You got a cost of living allowance. You got to increase the cost of living because inflation went up 4%. So your company gave you 3 or 4% on top of what you already make. You really didn't get a raise. What you got was a cost of living allowance. You got to know the difference. A raise is like when they give me a big raise. You give me money. You didn't do that. You gave me a 3% raise. You called it a raise. What it was the cost of living allowance to account for the natural progression of inflation that happens. Like you said, it doesn't matter who the president is. Inflation is going to happen. That's just part of life.
It's going to happen.
things are going to cost more. The things cost more today than they did yesterday, and so forth and so on. It's not going to change. That's just part of life.
It's a part of life, and the only thing that administrations, politicians, and other financial professionals have control over is at the rate it grows. Right? We can do something about the pace, but you can't. It's not going to die. Inflation's not going anywhere. So, if you want to be able to afford the Jordans, the fly clothes, the big house, the nice ride, you gotta be doing stuff to outpace inflation.
Correct.
Heck, even if you're one of these people who don't even like fancy things, but you're gonna want to be able to live comfortably. Right. You're gonna be able to want to travel when you want to, or eat the kind of food you want to eat, or pay your bills on time. If you're gonna want to be able to just live comfortably, you've got to be doing things to outpace inflation. If you're not, it's going to catch up with you.
Right. So next question I had is.
Hold on a second.
Go ahead.
No. I just want to tell you how close we are here in our thinking. So we didn't have a chance to go over the show beforehand. So I was going to say the scenarios I wanted you to run is kind of like what a young soldier would have, a medium soldier would have, maybe what you think of when you get out of the military. And then Al's just kind of doing it. So you've kind of covered the first scenario, but Al, go ahead with your second question. But I do want to make sure we go back and talk about what would an active duty soldier that's, maybe 10 years into their career, what should they be looking like? Like what type of insurance do they need to be planning for and money to be put away? We'll get to that in a second, but go ahead, Al.
That was my question.
Was it? Okay, there you go. So we didn't even plan this.
From the insurance side of it, I wanted to know, young in your career, what should you look at, right? Because if I'm young and I'm healthy, maybe I don't need a $2 million life insurance policy. Maybe I do. I don't know, right? So what are the stages, or what does that look like, Courtney?
That's a fantastic question, man. And there's so many different avenues we could go down with it. When it comes down, so there's different things you want to look at. You want to look at protection, right? And then you want to look at growth. So those are two different things. How am I protecting what I have or what I intend to have, right? So we sit down and we do a needs analysis, right, on that individual. And let's just say this individual is not married and doesn't have any children, right? What they have through the military may be enough insurance just to, bury them and, whatever else is left, right? But if they do have a family, if they do have a wife, a lot of young soldiers get married and have children, especially for that housing allowance, right? I don't want to say it's just for that, but you know how that goes, right? So a lot of people need $1 million in life insurance and don't even realize, right? So think about it. If you make $50,000 a year in the military, right? And you have a brand new child, right? And something happens to you while you're in the military, and that brand new child was counting in your $50,000 a year of income for the next 18 years. If we take $50,000 and we multiply it by 18, that's $900,000. So what if you have multiple children? What if you make more than $50,000 a year in the military? How much income is coming out of your house over the next 18 years? And that ain't even counting you getting the help from them. Well, college will be paid for military folks, so we understand that. But what kind of a lifestyle is being reduced for the child if you were to die while they were still young? So this is why people, when they're sitting back, they don't have a full understanding of needing how much insurance they actually need. So we sit down and we do a needs analysis to go through that to make sure they're not overinsured or underinsured, right? And a lot of people will think $1 million in insurance gotta cost a whole lot of money. Well, right now I'm 40 something years old, 47 years old. So I have $1 million life insurance policy. And my premium is about a couple of $100 a month. Okay. If I was 20 years younger with that, you can imagine what the premium would be for a 20-year-old or a 27-year-old, 25-year-old for $1 million worth of life insurance. Guarantee this probably is less than $100, probably $50-$60 a month. Right? So cool, we can afford that. We can do that. So that's protection, right? The growth side is it's multiplied, right? It's not just about insurance, right? There's other things that people need to dabble into. And the first thing that you need to understand about yourself when it's time to grow your money is, what is your growth profile? What is your risk profile? What I mean by that is 3 categories you can be in, or you can be a blend, one of 3 categories, or you can be in a blend of the 3. You could be a conservative saver, right? Or money grower, which would mean, hey, I'm just going to put my money in the bank, or I'm going to put my money in under the mattress and just stack whatever extra dollars I got on it. That's what I'm going to do to accumulate money, right? That's conservative. By doing that, the pros of doing that is that you don't have to worry about market fluctuation like what we've experienced the last couple of weeks, with people losing tons of money in their stock portfolios and their TSPs and 401ks and everything else. You know, you don't have to worry about that stuff because money's right there in your savings account, or it's right there under your mattress, right? The con to that is what we talked about earlier: inflation, right? Inflation is going to set that money on fire easily. Like that, those dollars you're putting in your bank under your bed, they're not going to be worth a whole lot in the next 10 or 15 years. In the next 10 or 15 days, probably not going to be worth the same thing, right? So that's the problem with that. The middle ground is being moderate, right? This is where, hey, I'm going to put my money in some opportunities that may have some risk to it, but it's minimal if it does. But it also has an opportunity for me to earn at a pace that's above inflation. Maybe not too much. Maybe every now and then it'll spark well above, and do well 8 to 10%. But in the most parts, it's going to hang around in a very moderate space where I can see some gains that I'm comfortable with. The cons to that is that you'll spend a lot of time not seeing those bigger gains that are going to really help you kick inflation's butt, right? So that's where the aggressive model comes in. That's the third tier of a growth profile. It's being aggressive. That's things like real estate and crypto and stocks and those kind of things, right? So the true way to build wealth, and the true way to making sure that you are outpacing inflation, is to be probably a blend of all 3. Mainly, in my opinion, being in the moderate to aggressive space, right? And there's rules that we use to kind of understand what percentage of your income or your disposable income needs to be in the moderate space, and what percentage of your disposable income should you be dabbling in the aggressive space. So that's kind of where I would start with people. How insurance actually does come into play, though, is insurance can serve as that moderate vehicle that gets you decent gains and returns, while also you don't have to worry about losing any money when the market is struggling like it is right now. So we have a saying in this industry that's called "zero is your hero," right? So that means when the market is doing terrible, instead of you going negative 10%, negative 15%, you actually just hit 0. You just get no earnings, which a lot of people would rather say, hey, I had $100,000 to start today. Now I have $100 to end the day, versus say 100,000 to end the day, versus saying I have $100,000 to start the day and now I only have 75 because I lost 25%. Right? If you, in a different example, let's say, for example, you had $100,000 and you lost $50,000, 50% of your money due to a market fluctuation, right? And then the market was to return at 50%. If you got a 50% gain, you don't go back to $100,000. That's not math. 50% of $50,000 is $25,000. So if you lost 50 and then the market went back up and you earned 50, you go to 75,000. You don't go back to 500. I mean, to 100,000.
That shit sound like the damn VA. That sound like the damn VA when you get your percentages.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with having your money in the stock market, right? There's nothing wrong with that. But if you have all of your money in the stock market and you don't have your money in a moderate vehicle, and insurance isn't the only moderate vehicle. I'm not here to be this person that's going to tell you got to get insurance, right, for moderate growth, right? I can make a compelling argument if we sat down in an appointment, in a consultation. I guarantee you'll like what I'll show you. But there's other ways to grow your money moderately. But there's only one way that you can put your money into a product that, while you're growing your money moderately, even if you haven't put the same amount of money in it, equal to your death benefit, your family will get the death benefit. So right now, let's say we devise the plan for you to put $500 a month into an insurance policy. And in 20 years, that policy is projected to have $400,000 in it. But if you died the day after you put that $500 in it, that policy is going to pay your family $500,000. I dare anybody to name another vehicle where you can put your money that's going to do that. You can't, because it doesn't exist.
Facts.
Right?
Facts.
So that's kind of where you kind of really do have to have insurance, but it's kind of really up to you. And while you're doing that, so that's one point. You got a company taking on a risk factor of paying your family way more money than you've contributed to it. That's one. Two, we already talked about no risk for market fluctuation. Three, another thing which I'm a proponent for is control. So when you start talking about 401ks and other vehicles that you can put your money into from a retirement standpoint, in most cases, the rule is that you can't access that money until you're 59 and a half years old. Well, with insurance, it doesn't matter how old you are when it's time for you to go access your money. So if you started this policy as a 20-year-old, just into the military, right? Most guys in the military, if they start at 18 or 20, they're out by 40, right? Early 40s?
Yeah.
Right? Instead of you having to wait until 59 and a half to touch your money, you can actually access the money in your insurance policy as soon as you retire. You can start taking that money out with no penalty, and if you do it the right way, without having to pay taxes on it.
Man, I'm about to call you. After this show, because I'm my 401k. Right before we got on this show, I checked my 401k to see where we're at. I'm 11% in the green, but last month my ass was 27% in the green, so I'm dropping. But yeah, and like I can't touch it. You know, I'm putting in the max that my company will match.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can't touch it till I'm 59 years old. So
can't touch the 59 and a half. So
I might not be around at 59. You don't never know.
You know what I'm saying?
I may call me home tomorrow. I don't know.
Yeah. So you've got the death benefit. You've got the ability to access it before you're 59 and a half. You've got the ability to not worry about market fluctuation. Another component is you don't have to be going through a hardship to access the money.
Right.
So it's just literally, you could call the insurance company up and say, hey, I want to put some new rims on my garbage can. I want to put some 20-inch Dayton's on my garbage can.
That's Jacksonville West Side right there. That's what we do.
Deposit my money right now. And they're just going, hey, do you want to go to the bank account that we have on file, or do you have another bank? That's what they're going to say to you, right? And then the other thing is there's a limitation to how much money that you can put in a lot of these retirement vehicles,
right,
on an annual basis. There isn't a limit on how much money within reason of how much insurance you have that you can put into an insurance policy.
So before Ty heats you up with his hot seat, my last question is this:
Mm-hmm.
So for people out there that are interested and have questions, where could they go? Right, shameless plug. How could they get in touch with you and your company? How can they reach out to have a consultation? How do they get in touch with you or your people and figure out what's best for them?
Yeah, they can text me, man. My number is 904-874-3634. Text is great. Or you can go to my website and book an appointment at prolivinglegacy.com.
Got it.
Prolivinglegacy.com, man. They can reach out and I'll be glad to help.
Sounds good, brother. Appreciate it. It looks like Ty's about to warm you up over here with this hot seat. I can see it, man. And if you're watching the show, Ty just put the website.
Put the shades on.
Put the website in the link. So
go ahead
and drop me down, Ty.
Yeah, all right. Man, I can't tell you how happy I am to have you on the show. Hearing you talk about your business, I've heard you talk about the stuff over the years, and the word of mouth is like I would recommend you to anybody. I think I have. I've sent a couple people your way, and I would do that every day because I trust you, the person. And, I definitely believe if you believe in a product and I know that you've done its due diligence, then I'll definitely believe in it. But word of mouth, man, if you need insurance, talk to Courtney Ruffin. Your boy Ty Cobb definitely recommends him. So, hey, okay, so we're going to get into the Triple Threat Vet podcast hot seat. So basically, I'm going to ask you about 10 questions. We'll go back and forth. They're kind of, rapid response. Just tell me how you feel. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Here's the first one. We'll start off kind of easy. What's your favorite movie and why?
Oh, man. That's crazy. So my favorite movie, if I had to pick a favorite movie, probably would be Pulp Fiction, and because of Samuel L. Jackson's character. Um,
What?
say what again? That scene in itself is an all-time classic. I think Pulp Fiction was introduced to me in high school. I want to say it was by Sean Tibbets. I think told us about
What's up, Sean?
yeah, Sean Tibbets about Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, Sean Tibbets and I used to always love to watch movies because of the dialogue. So we always loved movies with real extensive, long diatribes, monologues, and things like that. And Quentin Tarantino's movies are definitely like that. So, all right,
Classic.
here's the next one. What's more important to you, loyalty or respect?
Oh man, my word, man, that's tough. It's hard to separate those two. It's hard to say that you have one without the other. But I'll say loyalty.
Okay, why? Why did it take you so long to answer?
Well, it took me a long time to answer, man, because I think they go hand in hand. I don't think you can have one without the other. But I'm big on loyalty, man. It's like, you know, it's important. I think if you have somebody's loyal to you, or if you're loyal to something or a group or something like that, I think that there's respect just comes with it when you're loyal to people. So I think loyalty is huge.
Yeah, I agree in loyalty. My whole take on the thing is I'm definitely a loyalty guy, but there's some people that I don't respect any of the choices they're making, but because, you know, maybe they're a childhood friend, or, you know, maybe I've been through something with them, you know, I stay around, but I may not agree with someone, but that loyalty, like we've got loyalty, like there's loyalty built because of maybe what we went through at the Fletcher basketball. So to me, I'm loyal to, you know, Fletcher. I'm loyal to all the people and the names we were talking about earlier. So excellent answer. All right, let's get one of the big questions out of the way right here from the beginning. I'm almost positive I know what you're going to say, but I'll ask it anyway. Who's the GOAT, Bron or MJ?
Michael Jordan, without hesitation.
Okay, and you know, wax poetic about that. Why?
Well, I mean, Michael Jordan just he changed the landscape of basketball, just through his dominance on the game and then off the court with the shoes, and everybody wanted to be like Mike, the Gatorade commercial, and you know, people wore 23. You know, as that was a representation that you were the best basketball player on the team. When you walked into a gym, if you didn't know who the best basketball player was, you would look for the person who was wearing number 23. You couldn't put that number on if you weren't the best player on the team in any city, any state, anywhere. That was universal in basketball. And albeit as a basketball purist, as a person who coached high school basketball for 23 years, I love LeBron James. I love the way he plays. I think he is GOAT B. But, you know, I don't think he's had a bigger impact on the game holistically that Jordan did. Jordan brought people to the game, is still making an impact when you start looking at his shoes. And hell, LeBron wore 23. Jordan didn't wear anybody's number.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I agree. All right. I wonder where this will come from, because I know where you grew up, and I knew you in your childhood. But what was your favorite childhood memory?
Oh man, favorite childhood memory. There's a lot, man. I would have to say just being back in Atlantic Beach, on Skate Road. Being able to, I'll give you this one. One of my favorite childhood memories probably was a scary one for me at the moment, right? In that moment, my oldest cousin, Terrence Buford, would take me and my other cousin, Otis Green, to the movies. We would go to the movies with him, and we would always go see scary movies. and we go see them at night. Terrence lived on Skate Road. I lived on Skate Road on the opposite end of the road, one of the longest roads in the world. And Otis lived on the other street on the same end of the street that I did. Terrence lived closest to the movie theater. So he wouldn't walk us home after seeing a scary movie. And right when we would get ready to leave his house walking home, he would say something like, all right, y'all be safe and don't let Freddie get you. And we would just take off running down the street, scared as all outdoors. But when I think about it, it was so much fun running home. And I think about it just laughing back at myself. I was scared, but as soon as I got home, I was good.
Absolutely. And shout out to O Green.
Yes, indeed.
Another name from the past from the Fletcher basketball team.
Yes, indeed.
All right, here's the next question. This is a good one. I always tell people my favorite one. I'll tell you my favorite after you tell me what you say here. What's the most unique place on earth you've ever visited?
The most unique place on earth I've ever visited, probably Nantes, France. Nantes, which is outside of Paris. Beautiful people, very accommodating people, beautiful countryside. I mean, it's like the stuff that you see in a movie where there's nothing but plains for miles. You know, something like an old medieval movie or something like that. Nantes, France is probably the most unique place I've ever been. On that basketball trip I was telling you guys earlier, we stayed in Paris for like a night or two. We spent most of our week in Nantes.
Yeah, you had some pretty amazing players on that team. Udonis Haslem was on that team, right?
Yeah, so it was Toby Frazier, it was Udonis Haslem, Myron Anthony, Sebastian.
Best player ever in history of Jacksonville, Myron
Anthony, lead all-time leader scorer in basketball. We had some fantastic Marcus Washington. Shout out to my freshman point guard. I don't want to miss him. We had some amazing guys.
He was like sixth grade or something.
Yeah, we knew he was going to be good all the way back to middle school. We had some amazing players that actually didn't go on that trip too. So, but yeah, that was a wonderful experience, man. We actually won that tournament. We were anywhere between 14 years old to 18 years old playing against grown men in Europe. So their entries into that tournament were 22, 23, 24, 25-year-olds.
Talk about character building for setting you up for, college, those 4 years you took off and then going back and then becoming a coach. You're a resilient dude, man. This leads me into this question. What drives you to succeed?
My wife and my children, and my legacy, and my wife's legacy. My wife's father, we have a lot in common. My wife's father also died at an early age when he was building his legacy out. And what drives me to, want to make sure that people are preserving their legacies and protecting their money and getting leverage and control over their money and controlling their financial future. You got to be able to control your future. Because everything that the system is set up to do is set up to tell you when you can take your money, how you can take your money, and how much you have to pay somebody else to access your money. And people need to learn how to get control over that. In particular, the shirt that I'm wearing now, Normalize Black Wealth. This isn't to disparage any other community, but it's to uplift mine because it's never been normal for Black people to be wealthy. And that's the driver for me, man, is I wanted to be normal for Black people to understand what it's like to have money in their pocket, grow their money, and keep their money. That's important.
Absolutely. I saw that. I saw you wearing that shirt on one of your social media posts, and I requested you wear that shirt tonight. So appreciate that. That kind of leads me to the next question. What keeps you up at night?
What keeps me up at night, man, most times is my business. And before, my business would keep me up at night because I was trying to pull it all together. Now, if my business is keeping me up at night, I'm trying to figure out how to juggle all the opportunities that I have from so many people. And shout out to my wonderful clients. I have so many that I can't call them all out. But what keeps me up at night is just making sure that, I'm, using every resource possible to make sure that I get the message out to everybody, doesn't matter what you look like, to everybody on how to actually set their wealth up, how to set up their legacy, and how to control what happens to them and their money before they die.
Excellent. I think I'll just give you the recording. We'll put that out, and that should get plenty of people to call you. Absolutely. Good freaking answer. All right. Here's the question that everybody gets tore up about. We go back and forth. There's this and that, and I'm just going to ask the question straight up. Who is the best, Prince or Michael Jackson?
I'm going to say Michael Jackson, and I answer quickly, but it's not because it's easy, because I've actually seen people do these music battles. Remember when we had COVID and Versus came out? We didn't necessarily. There was a lot of people who did their own version of the Prince versus Michael Jackson battle, and I've actually seen situations where Prince actually beat Michael Jackson in some of these battles. But Michael Jackson, this is much to me like the LeBron and Jordan debate. Michael Jackson just shaped the culture of music in a way for so long, and it's transcending generations that it'll never be done again. You know what I'm saying? How Michael Jackson did it, the impact that he had on people around the entire world. The man will walk out on stage and people would just break down and crying, and they're 100 yards away. Like it's not like you got a chance to touch him. I kind of get the emotional thing about being so enamored with somebody, and if you got a chance to shake their hand, you faint. But this was happening to people who were not in distance close enough to throw a rock at him. So I don't think anybody else has done that.
Yeah, I like the MJ LeBron. That I've always said I like Prince better, but that argument kind of brings MJ one step closer. For nothing else, whatever happened with their personal lives, I still listen to both of them. So they're both like
Absolutely.
1A to me. But anyway. All right, so I'll play the video.
Papa's got a brand new bag.
So I don't know if you've watched many of the shows, but as you can see now, Prince is still in the lead, but he's up 33-22 now. So running tally. It gets pretty heated with some of the reasons why.
Yeah.
For MJ and some of the reasons why for Prince. So so let's bring Al back in. Man, I've had a lot of fun on this one. Al, what you think?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I've already followed Courtney. I done went on social media, followed him. I'm gonna be reaching out, figuring out how do I flip this 401k into some real money? How do I do that?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely,
how do I take care of my family?
I appreciate that a great deal, and it's what you're doing, Al. We could actually sit down and have a conversation, and you could be legit. And there's nothing that I can do to change your financial output. But it's worth people actually sitting down and saying, hey, am I on track to retire on time? Like, is this going to equate to enough later on? Do I have enough insurance? Or if I do have insurance, is there something out there that can bring me better value for the dollar that I'm paying? Those are the kind of things that I like to try to do. Let's do some comparisons. And I'll honestly tell people, hey, look, because people will call me Al and they'll say, and I don't know if you guys have heard of the product, the Index Universal Life Insurance Policy. It's the most popular type of life insurance that you can have right now based on social media, because every financial service professional that offers an Index Universal Life policy is doing videos on it because of its potential, right? So I'll get calls all the time and people will say, hey, people call me Ruff. That's what my friends call me. Say, Ruff, I need an Index Universal Life policy. And instead of me jumping on a call with them saying, great, let's write it, I say, why? What do you want it for?
I've seen it on social media.
I've seen it on social media. Well, how do you know it's right for you?
Correct.
And then I'll show them the pros and the cons of the product. And I'll show them alternatives. And then we'll talk about whether or not it's for them or not.
Right.
I've walked away from plenty of appointments, consultations, not selling a thing because I've told a person this ain't for you.
Right. Mm-hmm. No, I think it's been a great show. I'm glad you came on. Like, hey.
Yeah, we got one more segment before we go. So I know you got to run now. So I'm gonna.
No, bro. My kids, you hear in the background, and she acting crazy. She'll be okay. She ain't dead. She ain't dead.
So Ruff, we got a couple questions. One guy, this gentleman right here, Bob Mayer. I have 2 questions about insurance. They pertain to me, so real questions.
Okay.
Bob here, he deployed in 2003 with us. All kinds of crazy stuff. He went through his medical records were sealed for a while, and he's been through a lot. He's got he's got the hole right here. I don't know exactly what it's called, but he talks through the box.
Stoma.
He can't get life insurance, so he's been through a lot of stuff. So these are his questions. Ty, I had USA for 42 years, and they have gone to total shit. I've had 3 portfolios I closed out in 2017, and I dropped them for car insurance last year. That's not really a question. It's more just a statement. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. I guess we don't have a question, but either way. So I guess I'll ask this question.
I think his question is probably, how does somebody in his health condition?
Yeah, that's had pre-existing conditions that are service.
How do you service connected? Right. How does he get health insurance? What are some options for people that are in not great health?
Right.
Yeah. So there's like 737 life insurance companies in the country. And a lot of them do different things and will cover different people in different capacities, right? And some of them won't, right? They'll say they'll assess your health, and they'll say, nah, that's not the candidate for us. At the end of the day, if you are uninsurable, there is something that's called a survivorship policy that one of the carriers that I have an appointment with offers. What a survivorship policy means is that there are 2 people that will have to go on the life insurance policy, and it will pay a death benefit when both of them die. One of them have to be healthy though. So that's an alternative for some people who are uninsurable at all, but they, sometimes I have a lot of clients who get into that situation, or they're in certain health scenarios, or they get a little bit older and they start to realize, man, I should have got $1 million worth of insurance because I got these grandkids now, and I sure would like to be able to pay for their college, because life is going to suck for them if somebody can't do that. I want to be able to leave something, but I can't get insurance. Then they'll get what's called a survivorship policy. And they'll find a sibling of theirs that may be healthy, or if they're still married, they'll get the spouse on with them, and they'll do that survivorship policy. And the cool thing about the survivorship policy is that it's actually a cash value life insurance policy too. So it actually builds value in it that can be used at any point before somebody dies.
Thanks. Yeah. Hope that helps, Bob.
Yeah. All right. Wow. That's a lot of information. So before we get out of here, do you have any more?
Somebody's got one more question.
I do.
Do they still provide long-term care policies for assisted living homes and home care?
Yeah, you can get long-term care in a lot of instances. You can get them on rise of your life insurance policy, or you can get it as a separate policy. They also have some alternative long-term care plans. The reason why a long-term care alternative may be something that you want to look at is because long-term care can be a very difficult type of policy to qualify for. Shoot, man, if you sneeze too hard, on a regular basis, you may get declined for long-term care. So you definitely is something that you want to look into at a very early age and while you're very healthy, because again, it is very difficult to acquire it if you're dealing with any kind of health episode. It may affect your underwriting or any kind of health matter. It could affect your qualifications. So I would say get it early, get it while you're healthy. But also there are some alternative things that you can do to take care of, to account for long-term care.
Nice.
Appreciate that answer, man. Grant Garrison is the 3-time champion to our Project Zero and Got Your Six Culture golf tournament. He's won it 3 years in a row.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Good job, Grant. I'll see him in about 22 days in Cabo San Lucas, baby.
Damn.
Yeah. So Bob says
somebody's got some generational wealth built up over here. Ty going to Cabo.
No, it's all because of my wife. My wife kicks ass. I married up and she settled. But
as soon as you die, I'm marrying her. As soon as you die, I'm proposing. As soon as you're out the way, I'm like, hey, she don't like short guys. I'm screwed. Never mind. I'll get some leg implants or something.
Leg implants is crazy and real though.
Yeah, you never lied.
Well, hey, Courtney, I can't thank you enough for coming on the show. It's been fun going down memory lane. It's been fun, hearing, your trade, your expertise. And I'll tell anybody in the Triple Threat Vet Platoon, if you need to get in touch with Courtney Ruffin, just call me. I'll tell you his life story, man. I truly trust this guy for me to refer him to my friends and for him to talk to my family and myself about these life insurance policies. So if you need to get in touch with Courtney, come talk to your boy. I will get you in touch with him. So Courtney, appreciate you. Give some shout outs before you get out of here, man.
Yeah, man. So definitely shout out to my beautiful wife and my kids, Deshaun, Abrea, Maya, DeAndre, and my Major. Shout out to my grandboy and Jabari and the other little one. So just everybody, man. Shout out to American Classic Agency. That's the company that I'm broker with and partner with. They've carried me a long way in this industry, man. Shout out to my guy Darnell Moat, Jay Joseph, and just everybody, man. The whole Fletcher crew, Lanny Beach, Jacksonville. Well, we should have did that to start the show, fella.
Bruh. I was waiting on it. Waiting on it.
You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So, but that's what's up, man, guys. Thank you very much for having me on. This is amazing. I would love to come back. We don't even have to talk about money. If there's another topic, I would love to be able to come on and talk socially about with you guys, community, whatever it is. Ty, the conversations we have, man. So
let me tell a quick story. Before.
Shout out to your wife. She just chimed in. Your wife just
wife did
comment. No. Courtney's wife.
Oh, Courtney's wife.
I hope it's his wife or somebody in his family.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's the wife. Yeah, that's the wife.
I hope that's your wife. I'm about to get you in. You about to be in trouble.
So let me tell you a quick story about Courtney. I've been playing fantasy football since we were in high school with Mike Dennis and John Clements and all those guys. So I've played fantasy football my whole life. So I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago, we had a guy drop out of a fantasy league that I'm in with a bunch of military guys for about 5-6 years. And I'm like, Ruff, you want to come play? And he's like, yeah, I'll come mess y'all up. And I was like, okay, they're pretty good. We've been playing. This dude wins the whole freaking fantasy league, and then tells us the next season, I got too much. I'm taking my talents elsewhere. I mean, so here's my
I got
proposal.
a slight correction. Ty.
Oh, a slight correction. Go ahead. My bad.
Correction. I actually won the league 2 years in a row, and then I left.
Damn, he played LeBron James, y'all. It was
2 years in a row. Not okay.
Damn.
Do that again. Drink that again. I got to get that. I'm gonna clip that. Yeah, but anyway, so yeah, I mean, great guy. Just ask me. I'll tell you all about him. I appreciate you coming on, Ruff. It's been fun.
Nah, it's a pleasure, man. Definitely, it's been fun. Al, man, family right away, man. As soon as you started to talk, I'm like, that's my bro right there.
You already know.
That's my guy.
God bless you and your family too, for sure, brother.
Likewise,
Keep doing
man.
What you're doing. You'll be hearing from me, bro. I got some questions for sure. So
let's do it.
We'll bring him back when we start doing the pick-me's on sports, because he thinks he knows everything. He's like an encyclopedia, so he'll come in. We'll let him be the honorary picker this year, and he can be like every week with us. We'll keep him on the scoreboard the whole week or the whole season to see we're rough. You don't have to be on the show every week, but we're gonna
bring him in. Yeah, he's gonna come in for the picks for sure.
Yeah, every week you can. We pick the football season, so it'll be fun. Anyway, Ruff. Hey, 904 Duval, and I appreciate you very much coming on, man. Love you.
Appreciate you, gentlemen. Y'all have a good night, man. Love you, brother.
All right. Hey, that was a lot of fun.
Hey, I learned something. I was taking notes and shit, like a little kid over here taking notes. Like, well, I got it. Yeah, I'm gonna call him. I'm gonna hit him up. Because these are like regular conversations. I'll call to talk about something I see on TV. So I know he's probably watching it. So I'll call to get his opinion, because it's kind of a barometer of where I stand on like everything. And, he knows that I have military grade ADHD. So if I see something on TV and I call him, it's just probably out of the blue for nothing. He's one of those guys that's always going to answer the phone, and it just gets you excited to talk about him, because not only can he's like a triple threat as well. He can talk about some sports stuff. We can talk about some serious, stuff if you want to, talk about him with life stuff. And then he's also going to take care of you and try to set you up with work ethic and
setting you up for the next steps in the rest of your life and the next generations of your life. And that's a dude I went to high school with, man. And
we definitely got to get him a triple threat vet t-shirt sent out for sure.
Like, I'll text you after this, Ruff, or just text me your size and your address, and we'll get you a Wax Poetic shirt for sure, because this dude can wax poetic. So, hey, let's go over this real quick and we'll bounce out of here. Future guest next week. It's just us, man. It's just gonna be us. We're gonna talk about I guess things we've missed over the last time we've had a show with just us.
It's been a while.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. We got a lot of big guests coming up. I don't want to say who all they are, but we've got a lot of things going on. Let's see. That's about it. What you got to say?
So I'll close it out with just me saying the thing I say every week, man. Love somebody. Go out there, call your battle buddies, reach out to somebody, make sure they're doing okay. Tell somebody you love them today. Let them know that you're thinking about them, you care about them. That goes by the wayside a lot of times. I think we get wrapped up in life. We get wrapped up in just the day-to-day, norms of life, right? We get wrapped up in work and kids and home, and you forget about the people in your lives that you need to check on. So make sure you reach out to somebody tomorrow. Let them know you love them and you care about them, and love everybody else, right? Love is there. Make sure we're treating people with respect. I know we got a lot of shit going on in the world today with politics and people not getting along. Fuck all that. That's all bullshit. Nobody cares. Care about somebody other than yourself, and just reach out. Make sure you take care of your friends, your neighbors, your brothers and sisters. And that's really all I got. And like I always say, don't sweat the petty stuff. Pet that sweaty stuff.
My bad. Yeah, and I don't normally try to get too serious, but I'll tell you this time. I've known that guy for more than 22 years, and I'll just tell you this: a lot of these bonds that happen in the civilian world, they happen doubly as strong and for different reasons in the veteran world. So if you think someone could benefit from just watching this show for a couple hours on a Thursday night starting in June at 7, if you think that a veteran could benefit from watching this show, hey, share it with somebody. Send it out to them. Tell them when it is. Just tell them to watch a couple of the episodes. They even got to watch the live stuff. They can go back and watch the old library. But thanks for watching. We love coming and telling the stories. This time it wasn't from a military veteran himself, but he shared a lot of stuff that veterans can take to heart and use. So until next time, we'll talk to you.